Hey everyone, welcome to another Airbrush Asylum raw video. Today I want to show you how I'm going to tape out these flames. So I'm going to tape out some ghost flames on this particular sample panel. I'm using a fine tape, just a fine line tape here by FBS. This is available in the States, currently not available in Australia, but this is a, I believe it's a 1.2 mil tape. So nice and thin, curves well. So I'm just going to freehand some of those ghost flames on there, mask it up, then we're going to spray a white pearl on and see how they look after that. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So hopefully you guys will be able to see well enough what I'm doing here. So let's start. Just got to try and make sure this doesn't go out of shot. Just want to pull it back on that angle. So get yourself comfortable when you're doing this so that you can virtually use the tape as if you're drawing the flames on there. Alright, so I'm just going to start here and just make sure the tape's going the right way before I start spinning it around. So using my finger, so I've stuck the tape down in that corner and now I'm just going to use my finger to virtually draw and follow the tape and draw out the flame. Alright, so moving along like that. Try and keep the movement nice and smooth so that you don't get any funny edges. I'm just going to grab some scissors. Okay, just going to trim that off there. And then I'm going to start my next lick. Okay, so I've got my first outline there. So now I'm going to come back down and work my way around. So I might just spin this around. Just bear with me. Alright, this is probably a better angle. So make sure you get in a comfortable position. Alright, so now I'm going to make sure that my width is the same on either side. When I say that, I mean that the width should be proportional to what the flame should look like. So in your head, you've got to sort of try and draw it out and get that flow. Obviously if you want real fine licks, well then you would go even more narrow, but you can adjust things as well. That's the beauty of the tape. So now I'm coming back up. You got to keep moving so that you get nice curves. Oh, it's just slipped out, so I'll go back a bit and lay that down again. And I'm going to work my way up. So you can see I've got a generous amount of tape. Just going to have that flick up there. I'm not really happy with that. Hang on a sec. That's a bit straight there, but do that. Again, we can come back in and fix things later if we're not happy. So here we go again, chase that down, and now we're going to go back to the bulk of this flame here. Move back in and we're doing another circle, working our way around, and then we're going to move up and do another lick here. Like that. Hopefully you can see that. Trim that off, press that down. So make sure your hands are clean when you're doing this. Run that down there, and I might just, not really happy with that. What am I going to do here? We'll turn that into a large lick like that. So these panels are, I've done two panels actually. I'll show you the other one in a minute. I just thought I'd show you how I got to that. So I'm just going to chase over all these, this tape just to make sure it's all pressed down nicely. So this is just a sample for a Harley that we're doing. If you watched our other pre-live video recently, I would have shown you, I showed you the Harley, so the one we're going to be working on, and it's going to get ghost flames like this with a white pearl, and then once we've done the ghost flames, we're going to add a Harley Davidson logo in there as well. So what we want to do now is we've got to mask off the background, obviously, because ghost flames, I'm just going to hit this edge only. So this has got a bit of a kink there, so let's see if we can't fix that up. So you can see you can pull the tape back, and you can see where I went a bit bumpy. So I've gone back to the area that I'm happy with, and yeah, we're just going to finish off that flame. So I'm kind of looking ahead of my finger and just dragging backwards or upwards, whichever way you want to look at it. You can see here I've sort of created another lick coming over that side, so we can just marry that up now. So again, I'm paying attention to the thickness and just tapering that off like that. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. A little bit straight through there, but again, this is just a sample panel, so I just want to lay something down and thought it would be a good way to show you guys how to do flames if you've never done them before. There are different pinstripe tapes available as well. I would recommend that you stay away from the blue one. That tends to peel up on you as you're doing them, or if you leave, especially if you leave them masked up overnight. This orange one's pretty good, especially this size. So if you can get this fine one, then definitely grab that, because the finer it is, the more likely it's just easier to make it curve. And also, while I'm talking, I'll just start masking up. So to mask up, I'm using application tape. So you get this from sign supply shops. And I'm just going to peel a bit of this off and then put that over the top and then cut along that line. Now, if you struggle cutting this fine, then I would recommend then following that edge with another tape. So say a 3mm tape instead. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you'd use something like that, okay, and then you'd follow those existing lines and run it along, and that way it's easier for you to cut. So that one's pretty good too. Getting back to the tape, that's the 3mm. Doesn't curve as well. I find the green 3mm is probably the best one as far as curving, and one that's safe to leave overnight. If you are going to leave stuff overnight and you're using the thicker tape, then put a bit of masking tape, especially on these joints, because they usually want to lift, and where your curves are, just put masking tape on that. That's only if you don't get a chance to mask it off like what I'm doing now, because obviously once it's masked off, it's protected, okay? So I'm just going to tear that off. See, it's like masking tape, just bigger, and it's tacky on the back. I'm just going to lay that down, so just drop it on there, bit of pressure with my fingers, and then to get rid of the bubbles, I'm just going to use the applicator, which you can get from the sign supply shop as well, and just working from the inside to the out of the panel, the outside of the panel, not the outer of the panel. I'm just making sure that I'm getting all those bubbles out, and that way I can really see, my line. Now with my X-Acto blade, hobby knife, nice fresh blade in there, I'm going to come in and cut along that line. Just going to trim that off there. I'm just going to start to cut very carefully. So I'm applying a decent amount of pressure, but obviously not too heavy, because I don't want to cut through to the base. So in this case, it's just an aluminium panel, but if this was the bike, I definitely don't want to be scoring his Harley. So just carefully run your blade along the tape. I know this isn't the most exciting part of the video, but it's good to show you guys, and especially film it in a raw perspective. So if I do make a mistake or something, I'm not going to edit it out. I'll just leave it and explain what happened, because I think it's important not just to see these nicely polished videos that have been edited and made to look amazing, that every time we do some airbrushing we get it perfect, because in reality that doesn't happen. And the best way to learn is to make mistakes. So just allowing that blade to slide along. If this is your first time to our channel, feel free to hit subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. We try and do a video at least a week. We are going to try and up that a little bit, but as time permits. So we obviously show you what we're currently working on, tips and tricks, showcase new products that may be out and available through our store or just available in the airbrush industry. We also showcase some of our work and step-by-steps, so we do the full-on edited step-by-step and then do a voiceover, as well as raw videos like this and some pre-live and live videos. So if you're into airbrushing, if you're into art, or you just like watching art be created, then this may be a good choice for you. And we'd definitely love to have you join our community, and hopefully we inspire you to create some amazing artwork. So I'm just carefully running my blade along. Alright, so happy with that now. I'm just going to lift this up a bit, trim the rest of that off. Now, because we're doing ghost flames, it won't be a pinstripe or anything, right? So we just want to remove the inner part of the flame, because we are going to aim for the edge of that masking tape with our airbrush and with that white pearl, and we just want to hit that edge. I'm just going to trim that off like that and make it a bit easier. When you're pulling masking tape off, just kind of move with it. I pull it back on a 180 degree, so you can see here I've got it back on a 180 degree rather than pulling on a 90 degree. That can lift your edges, so just carefully pull away and just remove this part as well, like so. And there we have it, nicely masked up and ready for us to apply some pearl. So I'm just going to fold these over like such. Now I have two panels, so this one obviously I just completed for you on the video. I can see I've gone off a little bit off the mark here. You might be able to see if I come up close, just there. So I'm just going to fix that up a little bit. Again, trim that out like so. Just peel that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray one panel with one pass of pearl, so just really subtle, and then the other panel I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 coats depending on how bright it is. Alright, so let's start with this particular one. I'm going to get my Eclipse airbrush and some white pearl, which I've pre-mixed, and I'm also using a small paper, there you go, paper strainer, which you may have already seen from some of my other videos. So this is just good to make sure that we don't get any crap in the airbrush. Alright, so sit that like this. I might not do it over the panel, probably a bad idea, just in case I spill. So I'm just going to fill that airbrush pot. I'm hoping that this is the right mix, because I've only just mixed this up, so hopefully it's not too thin. But like I said, for the purpose of the video, I want to just give it a shot, see what happens. It might need 2 coats if it's too thin. Okay, so now what I want to do is just hit the edge. Alright, so I'm virtually aiming my spray so that it travels either side. So half of the overspray will be on the masking tape, the other half will be on the inside of the panel, which will create your flame. Okay, so we just want to go nice and easy. So from a distance, very hard to see, so it's probably not even going to show up on the video until I mask it off. So pearl is kind of difficult to paint for that reason, because it's kind of like painting with invisible paint. So that, believe it or not, has got 1 coat of pearl on it. Alright, so I'm just going to sit this one to the side and get my other panel. Here's one we prepared earlier. And this particular panel, I'm going to go 2 coats. So I've got a little bit of dust that's built up on there, so I'm just going to grab a tack cloth. Just get rid of any of that dust, because we don't want that on there. And I also, these panels were prepped and painted in black base coat, and then I put a House of Colour SG100 Intercoat clear over them and gave them a light sand with 1200 wet and dry, just to prepare them for this particular process. Then I'll put some clear on to show our customer. Alright, so you can see the flame design on this is a little bit different. That's all good. So I'm going to start here, work my way along, and I'm going to do a couple of coats. Try and keep your airbrush at the same distance, and your speed, and obviously the amount of paint flow. And look ahead of your airbrush. Follow your line and let the airbrush then follow what you're doing. So I've done 1 coat. I'm going to work my way back and apply another until I'm happy with it a bit brighter. Now this is automotive paint that I'm using. So again, you can use, there are a lot of water-based paints that are available, but for this particular purpose, I wanted to use automotive paint. So that's pretty good. Compare that to the other one. It's definitely a lot brighter, but I think for the purpose of a sample panel, I might do 1 more pass. So we're going to do 3 coats. Again, following what I've done. Also, make sure that you really thoroughly clean your airbrush after this, because pearl goes everywhere. Alright, so there we have it. So that's the more prominent one. That's got 3 layers on it. So we'll unmask this one first and have a look. Actually, no, we won't. We'll let that dry, and we'll unmask this one, the one from before. So this is the 1 layer. So you can remove all of this first. And a lot of this won't really show up that well until you clear coat it. Unfortunately for this video, I'm not going to have time to do that as well, but at least this is showing you how to create the fire, the ghost flames. So just carefully peel all that off. Just make sure I'm still in shot there. Yep. Peel that off. 2 seconds of spraying for all that masking. This is what a lot of people don't realise, that it actually, a lot of the time takes longer to mask up some of these multi-layer graphics than it does to do a mural. Well, especially for us it does. Okay, now just going to carefully remove the pinstripe tape, or the fine line tape. Kind of looks cool like that. So pulling back onto itself, again 180 degree. So now up against that black, I can definitely see that fire. That flame's definitely popping now. And with the clear, that's really going to jump. Now, particular white pearl, this isn't anything in particular. Just got a bit of overspray there. That's coming off nicely. I'm pretty sure I just got a De Beers one. I think this is a Nissan colour. Ultra white pearl it's called, but you can get anything. Like I've used House of Colour, DNA, PPG, so whatever you want to use. I'm sure there's a pearl in either your paint system or paint that you like. Okay, so that's the first one. Don't know if you can, yeah, you can kind of make that out. See if I can get the light on it. Just turn it around, so it's pretty cool. It's almost disappearing. Very subtle. Very subtle, which is good. There you go. Alright, so that's that one. Now let's unmask this one. It's a bit more prominent. Same thing, get rid of the application tape first. It's like unwrapping a present. It's all good providing you've done your job properly. Not so much fun when you've found out that you've missed an edge or it's bled underneath. So always be careful, take your time unmasking as well so you don't ruin what you've done. If you're doing candies and heavier graphics, you'll find sometimes the paint will bridge. So to avoid that, I will actually run a X-Acto blade right on the edge, right on that edge to cut virtually the paint away from the tape. So just as a security measure, because if the candy, for whatever reason, sticks to the tape and the tape lifts it off, well, you've virtually stuffed it. It's very difficult, if near impossible, to touch up. So always take care, and like I always say, do a sample panel, hence why I'm doing these. And then that way the customer can see it and go, yep, I'm happy with that. You know, I'll put some 2-pack clear on it, show him out in the sunlight so he can really get the idea of what it's going to look like on his bike. Alright, so just peeling these off and then we are done. Oh. Cool. There you have it. So let me just see if I can get that. Oh, there you go. You can really notice that one. Alright, so hope you enjoyed this quick ghost flame tutorial. So you can see the difference between that and how subtle this one is. So depending on what the customer wants, I do quite like the subtle one. I think that looks pretty cool. They're both good, but I think the subtle will spin people out a little bit. So hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, thanks for watching. And like I said earlier, feel free to hit subscribe. And we will see you again very shortly with another video. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.